This type is known as a hardcover. That is, for books that feel solid and thick when you hold them, usually over 400 pages. These books tend to be used a lot, so they need to be well bound and designed to last over time. So they use a hardcover, basically thick, reinforced cardboard to support all those pages. Alright, let's go over how to get the right measurements. It's really important to understand how this cover works. This third type. So now let's see how to get the right size and create a die cut for it, since this type is usually die cut to allow for folding and how to handle the exact size and bleed area properly. Let's also mention that the A4 size, just as we have it here, is 21 by 29.7 centimeters, just like the previous one. Here, I opened a stroke or an outline. Like this. Now, what makes it unique? What makes it unique is the heel, usually 4, 3, or 2 centimeters, depending on the size. But let's say his heel is 3 centimeters. So I make it 21. I pressed enter, of course. Make a copy. Now, this is the first type, edge to edge or fold to fold. So I press enter again and set the spine, let's say, to 3 centimeters and make a copy. Now let's talk about his heel being 4 centimeters. Here, I added another centimeter, so now it's 4 centimeters. Now I have the large spine, let's say, for the book. Alright, so I'm going to make its outline, or its die cut, which is the most important thing. I have what you said, a big heel. But now, when it comes to the book, when the page count is high, there's an issue. You have to add an extra fold to the cover so it doesn't crack. When you open the book, the cardboard, if it's reinforced or a hard cover, it might crack. So what can I do in this case? I come here, this is the die cut, or let's say it's base, which is A4. So what do I do here? I make a dummy guide and place it here. Another dummy guide here so I can control the guideline. I explained this in an old video on my channel here. I right-click and make sure it's not locked. Now, if it's locked, I can't grab it. So when I unlock the guides, I can control them. So I press enter and set it to -1. Sorry, I pressed enter, then I set it to -1. Alright, or let's say -2, depending on the number of pages in the book. All of this depends on the printing house. I'll set it to -2. Here, I have it like this. And again, I press enter, then -0.5 centimeter, and make a copy to duplicate it. So, it gives me the fold right here. Alright, and this method is exactly the same for the back cover or the back side of the book. This is 2 centimeters. I make it 0.5 centimeter, and I make a copy. Now, the guides are set up for me like this. What do I do now? Since this book needs a lot of bleed, your bleed might need to be 1.5 centimeters or even 2 centimeters. So again, you come to the guide, make a guide here, press enter, and set it according to what's required from you. But let's say it's 2 centimeters, or maybe not 2 centimeters. Let's do -1.5 centimeters so it moves up. And I'm going to apply this method on all sides. Also, from the bottom, I press enter. I set it to 1.5, okay? Just like that. And here as well, it's 1.5, 0. Okay, I apply it. And here as well, I press enter. I set it to -1.5, and now it looks like this. So now, what's the benefit of these imaginary guides or guidelines for me? It's so that I can now apply it here and do it like this. I made a square, and here's the stroke, all good. Always keep the bleed in red or magenta. Use the magenta color here. Just like this. And also the guides in the center. I set them up very carefully, just as planned, with precision. Like this. Only meet them up to here, not on the bleed, because the bleed will be trimmed off. Alright, now with this setup, when I remove the guides or guidelines, I press Command and the letter K in Arabic to get rid of them. Now I have the main layout for the book. So from here, it will start for me. From this side to here, it will begin. This is my design area. So if I want to write the book title, it will be far from the die cut. That means I'll center it or position it between this line and that line. And I'll ignore anything else in red. And as we mentioned, the heel. The book spine will be positioned like this right here. Here is where the back cover could be. The back cover of the book could have the author's name on it, the author's photo, when the book was written like this. Now, of course, the design is now yours. I think the design is clear here. I have to stay away from these people. So, when I want to place something, as we said, I mean, you just, of course, when it comes to the background, you can put whatever you want. Let's suppose this is the background. We'll change its color. I have the line color here. It could be that this is the background or the cover color. I included it with the bleed, which is 1.5 centimeters on each side. Okay, now when you go to export for printing, you'll give them your design and you'll give them this die cut separately. So you do it like this. This will be a die cut. A die cut is made up of, let's say, blades or a set of metal pieces that are mounted onto a specific mold. It goes into a machine to cut the cover and make the folds and guides that we worked on. So it comes back to you. This stays with you. This doesn't go to the final printing stage. It stays with you here so you can work on it. Now you've created your design, added the book title, the background, the images, and all those elements. So you still have this area. And in the end, you specify this area so it can go where it needs to. For printing, or it goes to the print shop that requested this die cut or layout from you. Here, you can add registration marks and other things. But as soon as this die cut goes to print, they'll understand these details on their own. They know this is a hardcover. They know that here there's a fold, and they know that this red area is very important. They know that here, this is the edge of the book. So when you come to define it here, you'll see what the final size is. The total size you have is 49 by 32.7. That's a very reasonable size. This is the third type of book cover design. It's a great method. I find it easy, not difficult at all. But you have to, from the very beginning, if you're working on it. If you do the few steps we just worked on correctly, all your work will turn out right. That was our explanation in this video for designing book or magazine covers. I hope everyone benefited, and if you have any questions, please write them in the comments and I'll reply, God willing. Thank you.